on these off nicely off some support. So today I'm going to show you which alts are safe to buy in my opinion here for a short-term little bounce. Then I'm going to show you some alts that I'm looking at a little bit lower down, and I'm going to show you where BTC needs to break here to make sure that we can remain bullish, especially on these 4-hour time frames. So we got a lot to talk about here today, guys. Let's get right into this. And the market is bouncing now after a dramatic last few hours where we had these liquidations. But don't forget, if you like the content, hit the like, hit that bell, hit that subscribe button. And remember, we are in Nashville at the moment at the BTC conference. So our times are a little bit all over the place. So this is a pretty late show for me. If you guys are wondering why I'm pitching up here so late. So Banter Bubble's looking a bit messy, but it was a lot messier a little earlier. We've had a slight bounce now on a lot of these altcoins. So I have jumped into a couple of longs, and I was saying to the Sniper Club guys, you know, we're taking a few longs off some of these supports, but we can expect some lower moves potentially. But look, interesting day all around. I see Near really took some pain here, 7%. Phantom got rinsed, 9.6%, and Celestia sitting at the top right there, still feeling a lot of pain. But Ray is not here yet. Ray is rushing. He's going to be here shortly. We're going to deal with some Celestia here with Ray as well. So let's look at this current BTC bounce that they're giving us, and then let's get through the plan. So here's BTC now on the 2-hour, and you can see what's going on here. We've dipped into a 786. We've dipped into a 50-day moving average, and we've dipped into a nice little horizontal band. So a nice little combo there, giving us a little bounce. So we've had a great confluence here. This is 63,663. That is the big one now you want to watch today. And I really like this candle here on the 2-hour, the way they've just popped this lower and then they've accelerated this move, nice strong move here into resistance. So what we are watching right now, and this is my current concern for BTC. So we're enjoying this little bounce we've just had. We've seen some of these alts move a couple of percent off their supports, but I've got a few concerns here. And one of the things that I'm watching now on the 2-hour, and this is going to tell us, you know, are we going to be out of the woods here or not? This is a head and shoulders that is potentially now on the way. So we need to start breaking some trends here on BTC if we're going to start remaining bullish. So right now, I'm in a BTC long here on Prime XBT. You can see it's starting to push a little bit here. But what I'm looking for here now is this move to trend. I would suspect this trend is a potential big area now for us, especially if we are long on some of these altcoins, because we could be getting some kind of rejection here on BTC, and that would be a head and shoulders now playing out on this 2-hour time frame, and it could potentially hurt some of these altcoins. So we got to trade these things very safely now. So if you've jumped into alt longs and you're moving off these supports, you need to get this BTC chart in front of you and watch 65, the exact zone where we are now, 65,300, and then a little bit higher, we're watching 65,900. So let's get through this area. Let's break this right shoulder. Once we start breaking that region, then we start turning a little bit more bullish now on the 2-hour time frame. Remember, on the daily time frame, we're good. I'm going to take you through that chart shortly, but right now we've got to clear this right shoulder here. We don't want to be in a little bearish situation, because that could tell us these altcoins are now going to drop to their next potential level. So a lot to watch, a lot to pay attention to, but we can be cautiously long in these regions. So as I was saying, here's my Prime XBT long at the moment. I'm long 0.75 BTC. You can see where my current entry is. It's right on this horizontal support. So things are looking okay here for me, and a nice little exit point here for me. I can just bring my stop now on Prime XBT. You can just drag the stop up and down here, and I'm just bringing that stop just under those lows there. So it's pretty much risk-free situation now that I'm finding myself in for this current BTC long. So just under those supports, my stop is 64,277 if you guys want to join me there on Prime XBT. Okay, lots happening in the news, but yesterday was quite a big day, and then today there was a bit more smashage. But this is the 24-hour liquidation map, liquidation results that I posted earlier today. So we've seen a bit more since then, but we can see 250 million longs got wrecked in the last 24 hours, and the bulk of them were ETH traders. Now remember, everybody wanted to be long ETH into this ETF. Didn't we say on the show for the last 3 weeks that we were looking for downside on the ETH ETF play? We weren't looking for that pump on the ETF launch. We were looking for the downside, and we spoke about this at length because the only example we had of an ETF launch was the BTC ETF launch. And what did they give us? They gave us a 21% dump, and they gave us something like 30 days under that high on the day of the ETF launch. And now ETH has now lost the highs, and now potentially we got some time under these levels. So no surprises here that the retail, which if you're asking who retail is, I actually heard this quote today. If you're asking who retail is, you probably are retail. But $125 million in ETH liquidation. So another thing happening now, we saw yesterday with the Kamala Harris situation, potentially talking at the BTC conference and this whole Biden situation. But what's interesting to me now is that all the major presidential candidates are promoting Bitcoin this week. It's a hot topic. They're all going on about it. They're all pushing for votes. And that can only be long-term bullish for us here in the current situation. And then look at the Bitcoin conference. Look at the lineup here. We got Uncle Donald at the top. We got Robert F. Kennedy. We got Cathie Wood. We got Michael Saylor. We got Russell Brand. I mean, what's he doing here? And Edward Snowden and Vivek as well is in the house. So there's so many potential market moving things happening here with the current talks coming on for this BTC conference. So very exciting stuff happening here in the next couple of days. And then just to touch on a couple of things, remember, when you're feeling bearish, there's guys like this and companies like this, they're buying BTC. These guys own 20,000 BTC now. They purchased $100 million worth of BTC. They don't care, if it's 67K or 62K. They're bullish on the current situation. And here's Watcher Guru reporting Jersey City to allocate a percentage of its pension fund to buy Bitcoin. So if you were feeling fearful, things like that, remember, these guys are just carrying on. They got long-term conviction in BTC. They're seeing this stuff is going to be pushing up regardless of where we are, on the shorter time frames. Now, you might have noticed something interesting yesterday as well. We've seen BTC falling over, but a lot of it was driven by the fear in the S&P, the fear in the Nasdaq, and these things, because that was falling over. So that put a ton more pressure on the crypto market. I mean, the crypto market has been challenging enough on its own lately without the S&P busy falling over. And that definitely didn't help things. It helped accelerate a lot of these moves here that you saw yesterday. So this was the end of yesterday. At yesterday's close, okay, it was the worst day for tech stocks since October. Okay, so if you were expecting, crypto to hold with the S&P 500 falling over like that, well, it's a little bit tricky. We need to assume that when the S&P starts taking a bath like this, that crypto and all these other types of assets are going to get slightly rinsed out. So Tesla got smashed 12% yesterday. Nvidia, the golden boy, is now actually fallen behind Microsoft and Google, I believe, as one of the bigger players. So 6.8% hit there all over. It was red, and the S&P now is back to fear. Can you believe it? We get 2 weeks of downside in the S&P, and now they're at fear levels. Look at this. This is the weekly chart on the S&P. It's been green non-stop. You give these guys 1 or 2 weeks and now everybody's scared again and running away. But I can tell you one thing. We are looking at the S&P right now, and potential bounce zone here for me now. We have covered a couple of closer time frame bounce areas here for the S&P. But on the weekly chart, you can see what's going on here. If we zoom out, we've got a weekly trend in play. We've got the 50-day MA hanging around this region, and we've got 5,400 in this area. So I would say, tomorrow, I would say in all likelihood, I would expect some kind of bounce here on the S&P. Let's see how it plays out, but I am expecting a move higher on that S&P, even if it's just a short-term push up before they send it a little bit lower to this bigger level here at about 5,300, give or take that region there. So expecting a bounce on that S&P tomorrow. I would assume crypto would then follow as well and start pushing things a little bit higher. Now, NVIDIA, you can see the bad news there on NVIDIA, but it was bought up quite quickly. So a little dip here on NVIDIA on the daily, you can see, but they bought this thing up relatively quickly. So that is looking good. And then Tesla had a miserable day out there on the markets. But if you're trading Tesla or you're looking for a trade, it's not looking bad. This 220 level looks pretty interesting to me here. If you want to have a go on Tesla, 220 looks nice. And then look at this. We've got the 200-day and the 50-day MA coming into play here for Tesla, banging support here for you at 204. So nice little area there. Stock traders, these are nice areas. These are interesting zones for me. 220, 204, and then a little bit lower down, 189. These are all bullish bounce zones here on Tesla in spite of what is going on there, in spite of that current pullback. Now, let's get back into the source. Okay, these altcoins, I've got these setups here for you. I've got everything ready. And BTC on the daily, just to show you guys one more time the power of that 50-day MA. Look at that touch on that 50-day MA, that little dip there on the daily, and almost a rocket off that area. So get that 50-day MA on your charts. That's always an absolute banger for you guys. And watching the key levels here on the daily, we're reclaiming 65K. So let's just make sure on the daily we can hold the 65K area. Then that looks pretty decent to me. A little bit lower down, 62,800 looks all right as well. Okay, so nice little horizontals there. But just, I want to remind everybody here, we've broken this massive daily downtrend here. Things are looking pretty bullish. So even if you get that little head and shoulders that I just showed you on that 2-hour chart and things start falling over, we are still bullish down at this region. We are still bullish at 60K. So there is nothing to worry about on the bigger time frames. Yes, on the shorter time frames, we got to pay closer attention, especially the leverage traders there and things. But you need to look out for these type of setups and these type of head and shoulders. But bigger picture, even if that plays out, we are still looking good above 60K there for BTC. Now, ETH, banger. Okay, look at this thing. So we've just rocketed off a perfect 618 here. So ETH traders, all is looking good so far for the first bounce. Okay, so that is a good start. And we can see what's happened here. ETH ETF news came out. What did it do? It sat at massive horizontal support. The news came out, and what did they do? They came and absolutely ended it and wrecked all of those longers. So 3,100 for me now on ETH. This is your key support. So even if we do start drifting a little bit lower there, you want to look for that little double bottom and something along those lines. So 3,100, you could lock that in now. This is your ETH support that you can play with. Then a little bit lower, 2,977. That's a 786 fib pool. It's a reaction zone. So it is something to keep in mind. But ETH all as well. If you are long ETH, you can bang your stop under 3,081, somewhere in that region. You should be okay. Then look for that type of double bottom if it does start falling over. And then upside targets here for ETH, 3,280 is what you're going to be watching. So 3,280 on the upside there for me on Ethereum. And here's 𝗏𝗏. This was a little trade we dropped in the Sniper Club about 45 minutes ago, just before we came live here onto the show. So basically my theory and my thesis for the current situation. Now, we're going to go through a ton of these altcoins. If you are long on any altcoins right now, if you've taken a long in the last 2 hours on any altcoins, whether you know it or not, you've longed these altcoins on pretty much major support or big support levels. So you have done technically the right thing. Okay, so things are starting to look a little bit better for some of these altcoins. So my theory is now, we could get some kind of short-term bounce. We're going to be watching very closely Bitcoin with his head and shoulders. We're going to watch that right shoulder very closely. And also a lot of these altcoins, I'm going to show you some resistance zones. We need to start watching where these resistance zones are, because if you are in a long, you want to start de-risking as quickly as possible. And that is either taking profit or that is raising your stops along the way. So 𝗏𝗏, all systems go so far. And you can see the nature of the trade that I sent out. So what I communicated today to the Sniper Club members was, short-term bounce on the cards. Anything can play out later. But what we were looking for, short-term little moves into little resistance areas just to get things fired up and just to get things going. So right now for me, if you're sitting in long 𝗏𝗏, my game plan here is 4.9 as the first area where I'm raising my stop to entry. I'm maybe taking something off the equation as well. And then my next target here for 𝗏𝗏 is 4.85. So we're not trying to be greedy here. We're literally just playing a bounce that's pulled back onto a major horizontal zone. And we want to de-risk. We don't want to, we can't confirm for sure that this was the absolute bottom of the dump and now it's just going straight to Valhalla. We got to play this appropriately. We got to play this cautiously. And then when we start breaking these major resistance zones on things like 𝗏𝗏, when we start breaking new highs, then we can start saying, okay, hang on, maybe these things are now going to start cooking a little bit more and we're going to push them a little bit higher. So that has got to be your current strategy. So if you are interested in 𝗏𝗏, or if you are in 𝗏𝗏, the current safest stop that you can have is going to be 4.195. And well, now after that pump, you can actually lift it to 4.3. Okay, why is it 4.3? That would be the 50-day moving average. So raise it to 4.3. That could be a nice safe area for you guys now to exit. So anyone in 𝗏𝗏, 4.3 is a nice little exit zone there, stop loss zone. Now, I have now got to 𝗏𝗏 is my trade on Bitfunded. So just a reminder, guys, about Bitfunded, you can basically trade with other people's money. So what we're doing here at the moment is you pay $49 or $99 for Bitfunded. They give you a demo account. They give you a $5,000 demo account or $10,000 demo account. You have to show them that, hey, okay, I can actually trade a bit. I need to pass stage 1. So stage 1, you can see on the left here, I have passed stage 1. That was to make $800 profit on my first trading account. So that is boxes now ticked. Now they've given me stage 2. So I've got another demo account here, $10,000. My job here is to make $500. Once I've passed this stage 2, they're giving me their money to trade with. And I'm going to keep 90% of the profits of whatever I make using their money. So now I'm trying to pass stage 2 on Bitfunded. And as soon as I've done that, I just need to make $500. We can bank that. And then they're going to give me their trading account, their money. And we're going to try and use their money to make more money for ourselves. And basically a nice way or a nice strategy in leverage trading. So I have taken that Rune trade on Bitfunded, and you can see I'm nearly there. I'm on $300, so I just need to go a little bit more. If Rune can pump a little bit more, I'm going to close this trade, and then we are past. Then we are finished with stage 2. Okay, so then we can move on to more fun things there with Bitfunded and start actually trading with their money. So if you are interested in trading this new style of, it's basically leverage trading, but with other people's money again, what you can do is go into the link under the show here, click on Bitfunded. You can see there, sign up to it. Then once you've signed up, you've got to go back to this link here where it says Bitfunded Dylan, and then start that challenge. Okay, start the free challenge. Well, it's not a free challenge, $49 for the challenge. They give you that demo account, and just show them that you can trade. Pass the test, and then you are on your bike. Then you are on your way. So it's as simple as that. Okay, so we had a lot of questions earlier. As well on Sniper Club about things like Phantom. We had questions on things like AVAX. And my message to the guys was, look at this. Okay, these things have all dropped onto key support levels. Now, things that are working in their favor. Okay, number one, for example, we've got major support. Okay, we've got a good area here. Look at these reactions and look at the absolute perfection. For example, on Phantom, look how this thing beautifully touched the 786. You can't make this shit up the way it's hit the 786. So that is looking great on Phantom at the moment. We've also got the oversold stock on the 4 hour. What is interesting to me and what I keep saying here is why I think it's potentially a short-term bounce is because these daily stocks still need to come a little bit lower. So you can see this example here. We still want to see Phantom drift here on this daily stock to go a little bit lower. So what does that mean? That could mean something along these lines, that this thing starts falling over one more time before we get our next big push. So it's just something I want to be aware of. I'm not saying this is it and this is 100% what is going to happen, but I'm just saying, you know, this daily stock needs to come down. We got to be aware of the situation with all these things and all these signs that we are getting. So just be cautious with some of these trades. But what I would suggest here, you want to start banking profits as soon as possible. You want to start de-risking as soon as possible. So Phantom traders, your key support now 4.15. Okay, so if we do get some kind of dip here on Phantom, if you do get a second bite at this current situation, what you're looking for here is this little move lower into this region here, a little pop into that zone, and you're going to look for a TP somewhere at this horizontal band. So for me, Phantom 0.415 is got to be your support, your first resistance, which has got to be your first TP zone here, 0.47. Okay, so expecting a move here on Phantom, 0.47 is where it's at for me. And if we do push in that region, you can see we are still below this rising trend here. And this altcoin now is looking a little bit bearish from the bigger term or the bigger picture perspective. So just be cautious. We're going to go through a ton more now, but you're going to find if you've been trading altcoins the last couple of hours, you guys have got a bounce, and you've been, whether you know it or not, you got these things off some major support here. Okay, let's see who is in the chats, because I've been chatting here and I haven't been chatting to anyone else. I see Todd Barker says he's looking for some ICP. I see that thing's performed pretty well. And Eric says, enjoy the fight night. Yes, we're going to a fight night tonight. We're going to Karate Combat here at the BTC conference just around the corner. So there's a whole lot of side events here. And basically all the who's who in the crypto community has come. And we get to go to all these cool events. So we're checking them out. And I see DJ and David is in the chats, but DJ and David is also across the road here in another hotel. So we've been hanging out hard the last 24 hours. And he's tagging along with us. He's our Sniper Club banger trader in there. And he actually gave us BNX today, which I'm going to give you that setup on right now. I'm just trying to see who else is here. Tommy says Moo the Bull. Can somebody tell me what that is? Moo the Bull. And guys, if you got a couple of tokens here, drop them in here. Let's look at some of these tokens that you guys want to see. So keep it coming. I'm going to bang through mine. And number one here, BNX. Okay, so as you can see, DJ and David dropped this BNX here for me earlier today. 1.2 is your big support that you want to be watching. Okay, so 1.2, nice little level here for us. You can see we've got a great reaction on the 12 hour at the moment. So great reaction here. Look at this. 50-day MA, 0.5 fib, horizontal fib, and rising trend. This is a high conviction bounce zone here when you do get these pullbacks into these areas. So BNX looking good for now, and it's got a lot of work to do. I mean, we've got to track all the way up to these horizontals. But right now, if you're trading this thing, 1.2 is your support marker. You can use, alternatively, you can use the 50-day MA as 1.16, okay? So any one of these can be your exit points if you are long BNX. Any one of these areas could be your cut zones if the market does start falling over again. And then upside targets, very simple. If you want to learn how to target certain areas on these altcoins, what you can do is take your fibs from the highs to the lows of the move, and you can start trying to tie in where your reaction areas are. And I like to use the 382, and I like to use the 618 as potential TP zones. And then if we do get tie-in with some horizontals, that gives us added confluence on these areas. So right now for me, BNX, where do I think it could go? I think reasonably, if the market gives us an okay push here, I think BNX can get to 1.37. That looks like a nice little zone there. 1.37, anywhere in that region. Or alternatively, if we do push harder, 1.48. But I would say both of these areas are rejection zones. Both of these areas are potential short zones. So for example, BNX could push higher and reject at that 618, and then we do have a new downtrend in place. So things could be drifting a little bit lower there. Guys, I'm still waiting for Ray. So that is why the chats are pretty stagnant at the moment. So there we are. I see Rich says he's loving the alpha. And look, I'm clicking the buttons here for Ray. But as soon as he's back, he said he's going to be back in 5 minutes. I think he was at the shops. I'm not sure what he was doing there, but he wasn't expecting such a late show. I mean, have you guys ever seen me so late here on YouTube? So BNX, this is the current game plan. You've got your supports, you've got your rejection zones, so play that one accordingly. And typical, just a note on these altcoins, when they get these type of candles, always remember, okay, at some point they come back and kill you. Okay, they come back and they take all this back, all this away from you. So another example as to when you guys need to take profits, and always just bank something along the way. Round trips are the worst things for leverage traders. Okay, another one here for you guys. AVAX. Now you've seen Phantom 786. Now you can see AVAX on a 618. I mean, this stuff is absolute beauty. Look how this has just dropped onto the 618 here. Typical little altcoin move. Drop onto a nice little fib zone. 786, 618, 382, and then pop off there with a nice little bounce. So AVAX traders, 26. This is your current support that you're watching. And I would say look out for something like this. If we do start pushing over, look for a push into that 50-day MA. Then potentially we got to move something along these lines. That would be the most bullish situation for me. So a nice little rejection at that 50-day MA. You can see just ahead of you. Then a little pullback, little double bottom there. And then a nice little move higher. So that is what I'm watching now. For AVAX, 26 is your support now. If this thing has popped off, 26 is what you are using. And potential targets for this move, well, number one, it's the 50-day moving average at 28.3. Okay, so that's it was about a 7% move off the lows. And then your next target's going to be the 100-day MA. For me, I like there at 32. Okay, so we're just watching these areas for now. We're not getting too bullish. We're not getting overly, euphoric here on a tiny little bounce. We're going to play this thing accordingly. Remember, raise your stops as soon as these things start moving, and make sure you TP. We don't want any round trip action here. Another one is Injective. Look at this, just a typical altcoin. Big sell-off in the markets today. These altcoins all fell over. Where did they settle? Most of them, I would say 90% of these altcoins have hit decent fibs, decent horizontals, decent support zones. And Injective, just an absolute another example here. 382 fib in play, 50-day MA in play, horizontal in play, trend in play. Okay, so balance of probabilities on something like this, you tend to get a reaction. You tend to get a bounce. And it doesn't mean that this is now the bottom of a move. Once again, we play these things cautiously, because after a move like this, you often tend to get a situation where we get that little bounce, but then we get that rejection, and then this new downtrend is potentially starting. So we don't want to take this one off the menu. We don't want to take more bearish or more downside action off the table here, because we've had a small little reaction on some of these altcoins. So again, I'm just reminding you, play this appropriately, play it cautiously. But Injective traders, what can you use right now for support? I would say use 23.59. That is your 50-day moving average, if we have just reclaimed that. And you can see we've got a couple of candles sitting in that region here. So 23.59 for me on Injective, looking good. And then the absolute lows, this would be the dip low from earlier today, 22.85. So these are both potentially good support zones for you that you can use. And if you are looking for longs in this type of region, you just need to understand your risk profile. Okay, so if you are jumping into an injective long here, your first risk, okay, that is close under the 50-day moving average. That's a 1.8% risk. Okay, so if you're trading leverage, multiply that by your leverage, then you understand how much you could potentially lose. Your next safe stop zone is 5%. So this is more for a spot type trader or a margin type trader. I'm talking like a 3x or something like that. That's about a 5% risk. So just know your size of your potential loss if these trades go against you. And then the most bullish move for injective, if this is a bullish move in the market. Now, remember, there's two scenarios. Number one, we have a small bounce and we reject and we start this bearish downtrend. Number two, the market turns super bullish in the next 2 days. The S&P starts firing, Bitcoin starts popping, Trump says great things at the conference, and everything starts popping. Then if we stay bullish, the injective target here for me is got to be 30. Okay, that's the 200-day moving average that could potentially play out if this market turns bullish. So don't want to take this move off the table, but we've got a lot of work to do. So what I'm looking out for right now on injective, as simple as this, we're going to take a fib from the high to the low. I'm going to look at 2 reaction zones here for a potential trigger of a downtrend, and it would look something along these lines. So we're going to look at these reaction zones, 618 there, and we're going to look at this guy here, 382. Now, one of these could, on a rejection, potentially be the start of this downtrend that I just told you about. So look out for something along these lines if we do get that, and then we start going lower. Okay, if we start breaking through the 618, then this big trade that I've just spoken about is back on the table and things are going again. Okay, I'll just keep firing off these chats. I see James is here. James, why are you up so late? What's going on here? I mean, I'm way out of my time zone here. I think it's midnight in my home country right now. So this is a hell of a late one here for us. Nathan, are you enjoying injective? I've just given you the injective situation. Okay, so just understand your loss, understand your gains, and understand where to start trimming, understand where you've got resistance and those type of things to worry about. Okay, so injective, if we do start pushing higher, just to confirm, 24.8, look out there, 26.1. Both of these are potential reaction zones, rejection zones for you. And Simon says he's at the Celestia conference around the corner. Is he serious? Is there Celestia conference here, guys? No, really. We got to ask Ray if he knows about this thing. I hope he's joking. Let's see what else we got. Ivan says bullishly bearish short-term scenario. That's pretty much what we're looking at right now. And yes, Solana, guys, on the daily, classic break of trend, classic retest. Okay, so let's see if this is now going to play out. Sol traders, your first support has to be the candle low that you can see here today, and this would be the candle dip that we had. So 165.3. Use that as your first support region. Then a little bit lower, 160.3 is what you're going to use. That's our 382 fib. And that is a decent little looking support zone. Look at this. We got nice horizontals here for Sol. And that area for me must hold. Okay, if we want to stay super bullish here in the market, we want to see this 160 hold here for Solana. So something like this, if we do get some kind of rejection here, we want to just see this one trend lower and then pop off that one. I'd love to see that 164.5. Now, we do have backup lower down. We can see 152.7. That's also quite a nice little juicy region there, but don't necessarily want to see that, because if we start seeing 160 on Sol and we start seeing 152 on Sol, it's telling us a story, okay? It's telling us a major story, because Sol holds a lot better than a lot of these other altcoins. And for me, that means we're going to see Phantom printing new lows potentially. We're going to see AVAX printing new lows. We're going to see these altcoins really start putting you guys under pressure. So these are the levels we don't want to really see. 152, don't really want to go there. That's going to be a whole lot of pain we don't want to see. And I see Haziba is looking for some Gala. Hussein, whiff. I've got whiff for you, bro. It's teed up. Another one that I've got here is Aave. So this was an absolute banger earlier today. Look at this candle. Look how this thing teed up once it started popping through. But now we've subsequently had a little pullback. But I'm sitting in an Aave position right now here on Zumex. So you can see I'm in an Aave long and I'm in a Sol long at the moment on Zumex. So first one is Aave. And let me just take you through this. So Aave is looking interesting. We lost some very important levels earlier last night. We lost the 100-day moving average. We lost the 50-day moving average. These were big areas here for us that we had to, we wanted to hold. But then today, the minute we saw this thing break through this major support and major resistance, now we can start saying, okay, this we can now use as a potential support area. So for me, this original 𝗬𝗡 trade that I gave you guys is back in play. And for me, the entry zone is anything from, say, 91.6 down to 90.15. Anything in that region would be a nice little retest entry here for me on this existing break. So you can see we've broken this broken the horizontal. Now we are retesting an interesting area. Now, I backed this 50-day and this 100-day to hold the first time, but with the S&P and the market falling over, no altcoins were going to hold anything. And this thing started breaking through that region. But I like the fact that it's recovered here quickly. So anything down to 90 for me is a potential entry zone here on 𝗬𝗡 that we can be watching. And then upside, be careful here. 200-day moving average for me at 99. Okay, big zone here. That's a potential reaction zone there for me, 99, and then look out at 105. So pretty low risk play again if we consider this type of support we have there. And your type of risk you're looking at is about a 1.8% if you are using an exit under 90. If you're using an exit and a close under 90, that is where you're going to be. Welcome, kind sir. Welcome. How was the shops? How were the shops? There was someone in the chats, bro, saying there's a Celestia conference around the corner. I can't figure out if he's joking or not. I'm not actually sure.
I think there is. I think there is.
Really? We need the info. We need to go there. I need to go and we need to hold a placard outside there and protest against Celestia, how it's rinsed us in the past. Okay, so I am trading 𝗬𝗡 and Solana on ZoomX currently, and ZoomX and all these other exchanges, guys, that I show you, they KYC friendly exchanges. Just jump into the show description. The info is here. You can log in there. Prime XBT, ZoomX is there, WeX is there, and all great exchanges. I trade on them all the time, and KYC friendly, and they're offering great incentives for you guys. So take a look at these exchanges if you're looking for something new. Another one I've got here is 𝗡𝗢. Okay, I finally said it right. I always call this thing 𝗡𝗢. And so 𝗡𝗢 looking okay here. 382 bounce. Interesting for me. We have now reclaimed this 50-day moving average. So at least we have a support marker in play here for 𝗡𝗢. And right now, that for me is that low teed up on that 100-day moving average. So big support here, 00, multiple zeros, 1074. Okay, looking pretty good for me. Then a little bit higher up, let's look at 1113. Okay, that's a nice little area for me. I'd love to see this hold. You can see it's acted as support for us before. So 𝗡𝗢 traders, multiple zeros, 1113. Okay, so if we get a pushback onto that zone, I like that as a possible move. So that's my bullish scenario. Now, what happens if these things start rejecting and these things start falling over, like I showed you on Phantom, for example, and AVAX? Okay, what if we get that downtrend? Let's just pull up Phantom again. Let's just where's my Phantom? Yeah. If we start getting this type of downtrend now on some of these tokens, okay, and we start pushing in that type of direction, what are we looking at on 𝗡𝗢? So interesting to me. And this would still be very bullish. But look at this. We've got a potential inverse head and shoulders if 𝗡𝗢 drops into the 618 here at multiple zeros, 103. So I don't want to say this is off the table. This is still on the table. A bearish scenario here is still on the table for these altcoins. And, it could be as simple as BTC testing 60K again. If BTC turns over and pushes down to 60K, we most likely seeing these altcoins testing their next big levels. And 𝗡𝗢 for me will be a great inverse head and shoulders here at multiple zeros, 10. Okay, so watching for that. If this current level that it's sitting on fails, we're looking at an inverse head and shoulders, which can be considered pretty bullish there for 𝗡𝗢. And right, with traders. So this thing is actually playing out pretty much okay, how we've plotted this one before. So with Sol meme coins. So when Sol's looking good, you want to chase WIF, you want to chase Bonk. Obviously, naturally, you want to chase Dupe and Radium and those type of things as well. But these meme coins do a lot better, or they outperform a lot of these other tokens. So WIF for me is always something you want to look at when the market turns for you. And just bigger picture here, WIF looking okay here on the daily. So big support zone in play. You can see we've now cracked through that. Previously, it was resistance. We've now broken through. So just waiting for a typical retest here, 2.18. Okay, so nothing unreasonable about a little retest of some horizontals after a break. So that is what we were looking for. And I would say we are nearly there, but this might give us a clue that there's potentially more downside to come. So let's look out for something like this. Let's look out for this WIF pushing a little bit lower, maybe that little downtrend coming into play. So WIF right now, you've got resistance 2.6. Paul, if you're watching, resistance for WIF 2.6 is an area you need to watch out for. Look out for that rejection. And then lower down, I'm happy with a retest here on WIF, still bullish at 2.18. Okay, anywhere down to 2.18 for me on WIF, still looking good, still looking like a bullish little move for us. So we'll look at something like that. You'll bang your stop under that 50-day moving average, and you'll just look for a simple little trade. You want to trade it up to resistance, and then you want to trade it up to the highs anywhere on those regions. And if we do get that sort of level there, you're looking at about a 28% pump on WIF. So look out for that. At the moment, I love that horizontal support lower down, and we'll see. Well, if Sol starts popping off, WIF is going to start popping off. Now, here's the bad news. Okay, this is another situation that I wanted to tell you guys about. Now, you know, a lot of guys are saying, cool, the bottom's in and all these types of things, and that's fine. The bottom might be in on Bitcoin. Okay, we know we've got some of those levels in play, but if Bitcoin starts bleeding to 60K, if Bitcoin sweats out and starts going sub 60, we might see these head and shoulders type of situations that I flagged many weeks ago. I mean, this was a long time ago. And I mean, when did we start calling this? I think it was in May. Okay, end of May, we started flagging these head and shoulders as potential playouts. And then my latest setup that I gave you guys on Link was a pump into major resistance and then this massive dump down to 8.6. Okay, now this thing is actually becoming a reality here. And this could tell us a picture on the market as a whole, on the altcoin market as a whole. Are these alts about to absolutely get obliterated and in front of our eyes, and we don't even know about it? So I just want to highlight this for you one more time. Link, head and shoulders. The plan was that head and shoulders was playing out. Then I said, let's look for a bounce here on Link, but look out for this rejection and then look to send it a little bit lower. So this is a massive test for the market for me. This is a massive test as a whole for these altcoins. For Link, so watching 12.66, watching 11.7. Okay, we need to bounce off this area and we need to start breaking that trend. Okay, to start turning bullish here on Link. Alternative or otherwise, we are coming down 8.6, and that's just a reality here. And if Link is at 8.6, you tell me where AVAX is going to be. You tell me where Theta is going to be. Are we at ETH? It could be at mid 2000s. And things like that. So let's not take this off the table. I mean, Ray, imagine where Celestia will be. It'll probably be ripping. It'll probably be pumping, doing the absolute opposite. So look out for this, guys. I just wanted to flag this situation here for you. So Link, you can see your support here. It's this 12.8 region. Then it's 11.7. If these don't hold, 8.6. That is where we're longing Link again. And this could take a few weeks to play out. So looking out for that. Potentially, that's the most bearish scenario, and that is the altcoin bear scenario as a whole. You know, if we see that playing out, then I've got another one for you. Okay, look at this thing. Ivan Celestia will be below the charts. Look, that thing, yeah, it will run out of screen basically. But Arweave also not looking good to me. If we really take an objective view on this, look at Arweave on the 8 hour. Okay, so we've fallen over here on Arweave and we've come and tested some great horizontals. Okay, we know that looks great, and we're getting a bounce here. Okay, so nice little area here for Arweave, but what we can see here, head and shoulders. Now we know head and shoulders is a bearish situation, and that often tells us we're going to potentially test lower levels. Now they sometimes don't always play out in full, but what you can do to sort of speculate where these things can go is start highlighting your next big zones for Arweave. So for instance, if this head and shoulders is going to start playing out, we're going to be looking at something like 25 or 26 in this region for Arweave. So lots to think about here, lots to watch here on these altcoins. And where do we turn bullish again on Arweave? Simply, we want to break this trend and we want to start pushing higher because we want to take out this right shoulder here on this head and shoulders. So something to watch here for you guys. Pay attention. You've got support now. We know this on all of these altcoins. Okay, Arweave is just another classic example. 50-day MA, 382 fib, horizontals in play, gives you a bounce. Okay, this is information, simple information that you need on your charts to try and find where you're going to get these bounces. And here it is playing out for you. So 28.7, that's your big support you want to watch. A little bit lower down, 27.8. But then the big one for me, if we start losing these areas, the next big long is going to be at 25.6, give or take. Okay, we'll do some deeper analysis when the time is right. But that is something we're going to be looking at anywhere in this box lower down on Arweave. So right now, not a good look for Arweave, and could be a sign for the alt market as a whole that maybe there's going to be a little bit more downside to come. So just make sure you are playing safe here. Make sure you are playing cautiously, and let's see how this plays out. Another one for you guys, last one here, is ENS. And you can see, just interesting, little bounce zone here for us. No fireworks yet, okay? But you can see ENS, nice little horizontal. So if you're trading this guy, 25.22 looks pretty decent here for me as a support to play with. And if we do start falling over, so clear, okay? This is so clear here, guys. Look at this, 200-day MA, 100-day MA, 21.3 to 21.6, both of them are hot zones there for me. So that is that. And guys, Ray, thanks for joining us, bro. And we didn't even play the bullhorn, bro. We missed you, Ray. I can tell you that much. The guys missed you there in the chats. And even the legend joined. Look at the legend. Hello, kind sir. So, okay, you know the deal. Okay, you've got your supports on these altcoins. They're bouncing. Don't get euphoric. Raise your stops. TP at some good zones. Look at resistance zones. Remember, if the market turns super bullish, we can always start longing. We can play trend breaks. We can do all these things later on. All you need to do right now, protect your capital when there's uncertainty in the market. Look at the S&P. That thing's looking rough at the moment. So that thing needs to start bouncing. And when everything turns bullish again, then we play the game accordingly. Guys, just be safe out there. That's all you need to do. Don't over leverage. Don't over trade. You know the deal. I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully with some Bitcoin conference news and things like that. See you guys later.